The Senate will come to order. Senator Westland.
Mr. President, I impose a call of the Senate.
The Senate is now under call. Senator Westland or Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that further proceedings under the roll call be dispensed with and that the Sergeant-at-Arms be instructed to bring in the absent members.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, if you would be so kind as to stand, in our Senate tradition, we always start with prayer. Today's chaplain is none other than Rabbi Marcia Zimmerman from Temple Israel in Minneapolis. As a gentle reminder, following the prayer, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I offer this prayer. May the source of wisdom and understanding bless this assembly and all who serve the people of Minnesota. Grant these leaders clarity of mind and openness of heart, that you may deliberate with integrity and act with courage. May you be guided by the ancient words, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice shall you pursue. The world's eye has been on Minnesota, and we have shown the world how to be citizens of the world. We have been through heartbreak and violence. I want to remember Representative Melissa Hortman and Mark. Our prayers go out, if he is here, Senator Hoffman, Yvette, and Hope. You all have been on the other side of violence for merely representing our state. This is a time for us to gather together, to have shown the world that we can stand together to honor dignity and justice, despite what party we may be a part of. As this session continues, I ask you to strengthen your resolve to seek common good over personal gain, to listen deeply to one another, and to honor every person in this state. May your work bring healing where there is division, hope where there is uncertainty, and fairness when there is need. Let your decisions be rooted in compassion and responsibility so that future generations may look back and say, they chose wisely, they acted justly, and they served our people faithfully. Amen.
Thank you, members. The Secretary will take the roll.
Abler, Barr, Bolden, Carlson, Champion, Clark, Coleman, Swadzinski, Dames, Dibble, Dornick, Draheim, Drazkowski, Duckworth, Farnsworth, Fateh, Frentz, Green, Grunhagen, Gustafson, Hochschild, Herr, Heinzman, Hemmingson Yeager, Hoffman, Holmstrom, Housley, Howe, Jasinski, Johnson, Johnson Stewart, Klein, Coran, Kroon, Kunish, Kupek, Lang, Latz, Liskey, Limmer, Lucero, Mann, Marty, Matthews, May Quaid, McEwen, Miller, Mohammed, Murphy, Nelson, Verbatim, Pappas, Pa, Port, Pratt, Putnam, Rarick, Rasmussen, Rest, Seeberger, Utke, Weber, Wiesenberg, Westland, Westrom, Wickland, Zhang.
Members, a quorum is present. Members, the following members intend to vote from a remote location pursuant to Rule 40.7. Senators Carlson, McEwen, and Wiesenberg. Members, if you want to follow along, I'm reading from today's Senate agenda, dated Monday, April 13th, 2026. We will begin with the third order of business, messages from the House. The Secretary will read the first message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following Senate file herewith returned. Senate File Number 3402, a bill for an act relating to health, modifying the professions that may serve as a medical consultant for a community health board. Signed, Patrick Duffy Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Members, no action is required. The Secretary will read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following Senate file herewith returned. Senate File Number 3602, a bill for an act relating to estates, enacting the Uniform Electronic Estate Planning Documents Act. Signed, Patrick Duffy Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Members, again, no action is required. The Secretary will now read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following House files herewith transmitted. House File Numbers 3516, 3528, and 3718. Signed, Patrick Duffy Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Members, no action is required. Members, we'll now proceed to the fourth order of business, which is first reading of House bills. The House files have been given their first reading and referred as indicated. Now moving to the fifth order of business. Fifth order of business is reports of committees. Senator Murphy for a motion to adopt the committee reports.
Mr. President, I move the committee reports printed in the agenda and the addendum be adopted, with the exception of the reports pertaining to Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 6.
On the adoption of committee reports, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, will now proceed to the eighth order of business. The eighth order of business is introduction and first reading of Senate bills. The bills listed on today's introduction calendar are given their first reading and referred as indicated. Members, we will now go to the ninth order of business, which is motions of resolutions. We will adopt the author's motions as one motion. All in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. I'm now calling on Senator Howell for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate File 4904 be withdrawn from the Committee on Agriculture, Veterans, Broadband, and Rural Development and re-referred to the Committee on State and Local Government. It is my bill, and I have spoke to both chairs.
Thank you, Senator Howell. All in favor of that motion say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members remaining under motions and resolutions, I call on Senator Murphy to designate special orders. Senator Murphy.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills be made special orders for immediate consideration.
Members, the special orders list is on your desk. It is dated April 13, 2026. We will begin with Senate File Number 3958. Senator Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President and members, Senate File 3958 changes the reporting date on the Disaster Assistance Contingency account. Each year, an annual report on the Disaster Assistance Contingency account from MMB is due to the legislature by January 15th of each year, detailing appropriations and expenditures from the account in the previous year. This bill moves the report due date from January 15th to January 31st. It's a simple bill, and it's just to change it from January 15th through the 31st, requiring that that due date comes here on January 31st. It still will meet the deadline for being able to move the information through the legislative process. And so that's the whole bill, Mr. President, from January 15th to January 31st. On the Disaster Assistance Contingency Account reporting date. That's all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Clark. Any other discussion on Senate File 3958 before we give the bill its third reading? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 3958, a bill for an act relating to state government, changing the reporting date on disaster assistance contingency account.
Third reading. Any other discussion before we vote on final passage of 3958? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll for final passage on Senate File Number 3958. Members, please vote. Senator Bowden, are you ready? Okay, I'll give you a minute. Thank you so much. Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Weissenberg votes aye.
Senator Weissenberg votes aye. Senator Bowden, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator McEwen votes aye.
Senator McEwen votes aye.
And Senator Umu Verbatim votes aye.
And Senator Umu Verbatim votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and is titled agreed to. Members, will now proceed to House File 1410. Senator Limmer.
Thank you, Mr. President. House File 1410 contains important updates to the Correction Officers Discipline Procedures Act. It provides non-licensed correctional officers with core due process protections already afforded to licensed peace officers during disciplinary investigations. As some of you know, correction officers are non-licensed public safety professionals who work in secure custodial settings. Under current law, correction officers do not receive the full set of procedural safeguards that apply to licensed police officers during formal disciplinary questioning. These are standards that promote fairness, transparency, and uniform application of disciplinary procedures under Minnesota's public safety system. Some of these new provisions that will be afforded a correction officer is listed here. An officer's formal statement may not be taken unless there's a signed written complaint filed with the employer, and until the officer receives a summary of the allegations. Before any administrative hearing, before it begins, the officer must be given a copy of the signed complaint. An officer is entitled to a list of witnesses that are expected to testify, and he's also entitled to copies of any witness statements and an investigative agency's report. Formal statement sessions must be of reasonable duration. An investigative agency's report must also provide the officer with reasonable periods of rest during any times of questioning. Formal statements must be electronically recorded, and a complete copy or transcript must be provided to the officer. During any formal statement session, an officer will have the right for a union representative and/or an attorney present. Mr. President, this bill also contains minor updates to the Police Officers Disciplinary Act, referred to as PODPA, including an updated definition of a formal statement and tightening up the reference to electronic recordings. We've had a full, complete work of stakeholders over the past few years, and I want to thank the Minnesota Teamsters, AFSCME, Law Enforcement Labor Services, the Department of Corrections, the BCA, and the state troopers for joining in their support on this bill. Members, on your desk, there's a letter from our law enforcement community in full support. I also have in my possession publication from the Minnesota Teamsters that also support this legislation. I'll stand for any questions, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Limmer. Any questions or any discussion on House File 1410 before we go to a third reading? Seeing none, the Secretary will give House File 1410 a third reading.
House File 1410, a bill for an act relating to public safety, modifying correctional and peace officer disciplinary procedures.
Third reading. Any other discussion on House File 1410 before we vote? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll on House File 1410. Members, please vote. Senator Putnam, are you voting? Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Wiesenberg votes aye.
Senator Wiesenberg votes aye. Senator Bowden, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator McEwen votes aye.
Senator McEwen votes aye.
Senator Pappas votes aye.
Senator Pappas votes aye.
And Senator Herr votes aye.
And Senator Herr votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There have been 66 ayes and 0 nays. House File 1410 passes and is titled agreed to. Members, we will now go to House File 3802. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Oftentimes we talk in this chamber about making things easier on Minnesotans and Minnesota entities, like utilities. House File 3802 does that by making a change to Minnesota's Certificate of Need requirements. I don't need to tell you, members, that Certificate of Need is designed in Section 216B to require utilities to go to the Public Utilities Commission to get permission to build things like generation or transmission. What this bill does is make a tiny exemption, Mr. President. And what it says is that if the new transmission replaces up to 80% of existing right-of-way, what I mean by that is 80% of the line has already not only been established for need, but already exists, Mr. President. If it's less than 100 kilowatt capacity, meaning it's not a big line for which we should take more time, then it will no longer be required for that project to go through the process, which costs time and money, Mr. President, to prove a certificate of need. Members, as I stand here before you, there is no known objection to the bill. We have not received any letters of opposition. And if we want state government to be listening to how we can do things quicker and more effective, I recommend, Mr. President, that members put a yes vote on House File 3802. Thank you, members.
Any other discussion on House File 3802 before we give the bill its second reading? Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to encourage members to support this bill. I have tried to push regulatory certainty, especially around some certificate of need issues in the energy space. This is one of them. This is a good bill. I'm a co-author on this bill. I encourage members to support it.
Any other discussion on House File 3802 before we give the bill its third reading? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File Number 3802, a bill for an act relating to energy, amending the exemptions to the certificate of need requirement.
Third reading. Any other discussion before we vote on House File 3802? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll for final passage of House File 3802. Members, please vote. Senator Brodin, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator McEwen votes aye.
Senator McEwen votes aye.
Senator Pappas votes aye.
Senator Pappas votes aye.
And Senator Herr votes aye.
And Senator Herr votes aye. Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Liskey, Senator Weissenberg votes aye.
Senator Weissenberg votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There have been 67 ayes and 0 nays. The bill is passed and its title agreed to.
You're disappointed?
Members, before I go to...
It's Lang's fault.
Members, before I go to Senator Murphy for a motion to recess, it's my understanding, and she will confirm this, if we just need a skeleton crew, I am just going to ask if there are any announcements of Senate interest so that you can make sure you make your announcement if you are not coming back as a part of the skeleton crew. Any announcements of Senate interest? Oh, there you go. Senator Matthews. Sorry about that, buddy. Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to bring to members' attention that today is the Minnesota Propane Association Day at the Capitol. They're going to have a gathering outside in the promenade area on the south steps of the Capitol from noon to 4 o'clock. And we're inviting you to learn about the environmental and financial advantages of propane in Minnesota. There's going to be some cool equipment that's going to be out on display, including a propane school bus, transportation van, crane truck, pickup truck, and zero-turn mower. And there are representatives from the industry to showcase the equipment and answer questions and talk about the possibilities in the future. So I want to invite members out to this today, noon to 4 on the south side of the Capitol.
Any other announcements of Senate interest? Any other announcements of Senate interest before we go to the Majority Leader for a motion? Seeing none, Senator Murphy for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as the President has said, we are going to go into a recess until the call of the President. Expect to come back with just a skeleton crew to move committee reports. With that, Mr. President, I move a recess to the call of the President.
Any other discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails and the Senate is now in recess to the call of the President.